Welcome back to the Cricket Corner podcast as we briefly talk about Australia and their team for the second test match in Delhi, which starts on the 17th of February. It's funny that we are even talking about the Australian team at this point in time because apparently today is day 5 of the first test match, which was won by India in a comprehensive fashion by an innings and 132 runs. So that test match ended even before the end of day three's play. So basically today is day 5, but we are still talking about the next test match, which is in 5 days' time. So that's funny how things are working. But yeah, we have some news regarding Mitchell Starc and Australia for the second test match. I feel like Mitchell Starc could make a comeback and replace Scott Boland, but that's the thing I wanted to discuss here. Do Australia need any changes for the second test match in Delhi? Because let's be honest, they weren't at their very best in Nagpur, so there could be some fiddling in the starting 11, but apparently Australian captain Pat Cummins feels like there's no need for changes for the second test match. I have an article from the Times of India opened here, and it says India versus Australia. Pat Cummins rules out major changes. Mitchell Starc likely to play second test. So that's interesting how Pat Cummins is saying that we still trust the team that played in Nagpur and wants them to come good. We have some quotes from the Australian captain, which he says as quote, Starkey, Mitchell Starc, lands today or tomorrow in Delhi. I think Josh Hazlewood, might not be quite ready for Delhi. He's getting up and running now. He's pretty close, but I don't think he'll be quite ready for Delhi. Then he talks briefly about Cameron Green. He says Cameron Green's a bit of wait and see. Still hoping he would play. He's had a couple of good hits out there. He's bowling pretty good. The next couple of days will assess it. Cummins told reporter after Saturday's loss, his second since taking over as the Australian Test captain. So that's quite interesting how he's also talking about Cameron Green and his bowling, because we all felt like due to his finger injury, he might not be able to bowl for a couple of months at least. And he has said that Starc is landing in Delhi. So I feel like Mitchell Starc's a definite starter in the second test. Now, I feel like he's gonna replace Scott Boland. Let's be honest, Scott Boland didn't have the worst of test matches. Yes, he didn't pick any wickets on the only time he bowled, because Australia bowled just once, but he was quite economical. He was bowling good lengths. He was keeping the batsmen quiet from one end, and that's what you need from a test match bowler. You don't always have to pick wickets. It's also important to keep one end of the bowling side dry, and that builds pressure and allows the bowler from the other end to maybe catch the batsman off guard and get some wickets. I think that's what Todd Murphy was able to do. Todd Murphy picking up 7 for 124 on his debut. So I think Scott Boland did well against India and Nagpur. But if you have someone like Mitchell Starc ready and fit to bowl, I can see why Pat Cummins would be tempted to pick Starc over Scott Boland. And I think Mitchell Starc also brings some maturity in the starting 11 for Australia. He has had upwards of 300 test wickets. I think he's more than capable of leading the Australian bowling attack alongside skipper Pat Cummins. So I feel is a change worthy in the making. But then also let's talk about the Australian batting attack. Now, Australian batting was poor, to say the least. The openers Usman Khawaja and David Warner barely contributing to the proceedings, both in the first innings as well as in the second innings. But I don't feel like they'll haphazardly make changes, because both Khawaja and Warner are decent players, and I feel despite Warner's up and down form in recent months. I don't feel like not performing in one test match warrants dropping out of the starting 11 completely. But one change which we expect Australia to make is the introduction, or the reintroduction, I must say, of Travis Head in the middle order. I think Matt Renshaw's experiment went horribly. Matt Renshaw just scoring a couple of runs in both innings. He got a golden duck in the first inning, LBW by Jadeja. And then I think he made just a couple of runs in the second innings as well. So I think that's one change which Australia can make. But then but if, let's say, Cameron Green is fit, whom do you pick? Whom do you drop, basically? Just to remind the listeners, the Australian batting attack, or the batting order, to be honest, is as follows. It was Usman Khawaja, David Warner, Marnus Labuschagne at 3. You can't drop Labuschagne. You cannot even think about dropping Steve Smith. He was at 4. Then you have Matt Renshaw. I think Matt Renshaw is probably done, so Travis Head is coming in his place. Peter Handscomb. Peter Handscomb had an underrated Nagpur test. He was quite comfortable against the spinners in the first innings. Yes, in the second innings he was a little poor, but I feel like Peter Handscomb comes out of the Nagpur test as probably Australia's third best batsman in the Indian conditions after Labuschagne and Smith. Probably even second, because he came further down the order and was able to be quite comfortable facing the likes of Jadeja, Akshar Patel and Ravi Ashwin. So you can't drop Peter Handscomb after what he did at Nagpur. You can't drop Alex Carey because he's your wicketkeeper and he sweeps his way out of the spinning troubles that the Australians were facing. So that's your top 7. Then you have Cummins, Todd Murphy, Nathan Lyon, and possibly Mitchell Starc or Scott Boland. So there's your bowling done. And so you can't even drop those. And Travis Head would be your 5th bowling option as well. So that's him sorted out. So if you want to play Cameron Green, do you then drop someone like Usman Khawaja? But then if you drop Usman Khawaja, you are asking the likes of Travis Head to open the innings in a test match to accommodate Cameron Green in the middle order. But Travis Head again doesn't open in test match, does he? He opens the innings for Australia in limited overs format. So that's another no-no. Don't even get me started on how Josh Hazlewood will be fitting in this starting 11, because you've got to play 2 spinners and there's no way in hell that Cummins decides to drop either Todd Murphy or Nathan Lyon. And Cummins himself is not going to drop him. So that just leaves that one bowling position occupied currently by Scott Boland, which is in danger because which he himself is in danger because Mitchell Starc is going to replace him. So where does Josh Hazlewood fit in the starting 11? That's another mystery. But the Australian bowling attack is you have 4 bowlers, and that's the issue. None of those 4 are capable of batting. Like you say, like the Indian lower order, you can get handful runs out of the likes of Jadeja, Akshar Patel and Ravi Ashwin. We saw in the first test. You can get a quick cameo of 30 or from 20 balls by Mohammad Shami. So technically, only Mohammad Siraj is someone who is not able to bat for India. While the Australian tail starts so quickly that once you are down to Alex Carey, or you are basically down to the bowlers. In test matches, I don't think you can consider Pat Cummins as an all-rounder, because Pat Cummins usually performs well and gives you those Shami kind of cameos in limited overs or T20 cricket. So that's a no-no. So if you want to accommodate Cameron Green somewhere, do you then drop a bowler? Do you then drop, I don't know, Scott Boland, accommodate Cameron Green in, and if Cameron Green is able to bowl, then he ideally replaces Scott Boland. So there's your quick bowling option, and then you play 3 spinners in the form of Nathan Lyon, Todd Murphy, and Travis Head. So now that looks like a formidable bowling attack in Indian conditions. Because if Travis Head can get those balls to turn, he might be in contention of picking up a few wickets here and there as well. So, sorry, I have a sore throat and a fever. So yeah, so that feels like another option, that you bring in the likes of a Cameron Green in place of Scott Pollard or Mitchell Stark. So your batting goes down even one step further. So then your starting 11 could be in the form of Usman Khawaja, David Warner, Manas Labuschagne, Steve Smith, Travis Head, Peter Handscomb, Alex Carey, Cameron Green, Pat Cummins, Todd Murphy, and Nathan Lyon. So now that does look like a formidable team that can counter the Indian conditions. But then it all depends on how good Cameron Green is able to bowl. So I feel like the team I just said could be Australia's best bet in this test series after being 1-0 down. But on a realistic level, I feel like Australia's team for the Delhi test would be Khawaja, David Warner, Manas Labuschagne, Steve Smith, Peter Handscomb, Travis Head, Alex Carey, Pat Cummins, Todd Murphy, Nathan Lyon, and Mitchell Stark. So that's the latest news coming out of the Australian camp. I feel like there's a lot more to come from both sides prior to the second test match, which starts on the 17th of February, so in 4 days' time. And I'll have my ears and eyes open to any news, and if I find anything worth sharing, I'll just upload another quick 12 to 15 minute podcast here for you guys to listen and get up to speed with what's happening off the field. So make sure you are staying tuned to the Cricket Corner podcast, and I'll talk to you very soon. Ciao.